to order the THPRD Board of Directors work session for August 10th, 2022. Jessica, will you please take roll?
Felisa Montblanco?
Yes.
Barbie Miner?
Yep.
Alfredo Moreno?
Here.
Heidi Edwards?
Here.
Tia Ping?
Here. Oops. I'll let Doug take it away. You're muted.
All right. Work session. So we've got Mark Pierce with us, who at some point during his presentation, I suspect we'll mention, we had a little event today out at the complex, also over at Cedar Hills. We had a lockdown, and it's just part of the reality of we are in a highly urbanized area and stuff happens. Remarkably, everything turned out fine for law enforcement side, and the Park District, Mark and staff did a great job. A lot of parents coming and going. You know, it was that time period, a lot of shifting, and it was really there was a piece about it that everything's fine. We need to move this way or that way. Or I was literally over at the tennis center paying for my wife's pickleball court for tomorrow morning. And the staff literally goes right by me and with a chain and lock and locks the door. And like, well, you're here now. So those are the rules. But everyone did fine. Okay, Mark, not too much of a lead in.
Oh, no, that's all good. Let me share this presentation with you. Yeah, I'll discuss the eventful afternoon here in a few minutes, I suppose. And we'll go from there. But staff is amazing today. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Pierce, your Safety Services Manager, and I'm here tonight to provide you with a quick update on the district's emergency management initiatives. As you all know, our patrons rightfully expect their public agencies to work in partnership with each other during community disasters or community emergencies. And that expectation, combined with your continued investment in the Safety Services Department, has provided THPRD the means to kind of step up and do our part to enhance our community's safety. And as the needs of the community continue to rise, the district should play and does play an active role in working with our partners on emergency management planning as well as emergency management response. I'll spend a few minutes on the things that are ongoing, and then we'll get to the newer initiatives. So we continue as a district to maintain some initiatives that have been in place for many years. The parent reunification plan that I know you've all heard of was originally developed in 2014 in partnership with the Beaverton School District. The plan has been updated several times over the years, most recently in 2021. However, the same basic plan remains in place, and joint BSD and THPRD training continues to occur prior to the beginning of each school year, and that training will be upcoming for the new school year as well. It is worth noting that BSD does not want the reunification site here at HMT published to patrons in advance due to safety concerns, and we try our best to honor that request from the school district. A Red Cross shelter agreement has been in place since at least 2011. This agreement allows the Red Cross to utilize some of THPRD's buildings during small localized incidents like fires, as well as during major disasters. The Red Cross has extremely high standards related to building accessibility, and we recently reevaluated all of our buildings for compliance with Red Cross standards. THPRD also recently had a center supervisor attend the Red Cross Shelter Supervisor training, and she returned from that training with a recommendation that all center supervisors attend that course. So we'll be working with staff to try and implement that recommendation. Earlier this year, THPRD's most common emergency scenarios were separated from a very voluminous emergency response plan that's in a big, large binder that I know all staff is familiar with. and placed it in a short 8-page emergency desk guide that lives at the front desk of each facility. That guide contains step-by-step immediate actions for employees and patrons to take in the event of an emergency. The desk guide covers things like lockdown and secure protocols, building evacuation, and missing persons, to name a few. The current emergency response plan is being redesigned to be more of a reference guide for action steps once the incident has been stabilized, so it would not be an immediate resource. And then we conducted lockdown and secure training with staff during the first quarter of this year as well. And so that training was exercised again today with, as Doug mentioned, both the HMT campus and Cedar Hills Rec Center being placed in secure protocols. And this was for a fairly long duration. It was about 3.5 hours. Just the short story of the event, and you'll see it in the media already, is that there was a carjacking that occurred in Portland, and that carjacking ended up in a car crash over here just east of the HMT campus. Law enforcement requested that we lock both campuses down, which we did. The person involved was ultimately not caught, but just here at the HMT campus, we experienced multiple canine dogs, a number of officers, drones in the air, helicopters, the Washington County Tactical Negotiations Team, and their armored vehicles. So this was a big deal with what turns out will probably turn out to be a Portland gang member. So just a reminder that, you know, we don't live over here in the bubble of Beaverton. You know, there are some things that occasionally bleed over into our areas, but fortunately we're prepared, and we felt like the incident today went really well from a staff and patron standpoint. We had campers out on all the fields at day camps, and so everybody ended up safe, sound, and secure, and so we can't ask for a better outcome than that. And then in conjunction with the district safety coordinator, we also recently conducted an earthquake drill at the athletic center. And the exercise included drop, cover, and hold, as well as a full building evacuation. That drill is going to serve as a model for us to conduct similar exercises at all of our facilities in the fall of this year. And then due to the high number of part-time and seasonal employees that we have, this information and these exercises have to be done with staff every single year. So although they're a little time consuming, as we know from experience, that time is very, very well spent. And then a few things in terms of new initiatives the district has undertaken in the past 18 months or so. We have partnered with Washington County and the city of Beaverton to open cooling, warming, and clean air spaces at several of our recreation centers when those are needed. This initiative is just one piece of a more organized and comprehensive approach to providing both short-term and long-term sheltering that is being led by Washington County Emergency Management. The planning process for the long-term sheltering program has been underway for a number of months between Washington County, the Red Cross, and all of the local government partners, of which we are one. And this initiative includes major disasters where patrons would need safe and secure overnight sheltering as well. I know that some of you have some familiarity with the natural hazard mitigation plan that we have never been a part of, but it is a county-wide project that involves Washington County, 7 cities here in the county, Clean Water Services, Tualatin Valley Water District, as well as THPRD. The plan is designed to produce a countywide initiative that creates sustained actions to reduce or eliminate long-term risk from a variety of natural hazards that we may face. Actions in the plan will include local plan and regulation updates, structure and infrastructure projects, natural systems protection programs, and education and awareness programs. And so THPRD's involvement in that plan makes the district eligible for previously unavailable federal grant funds for many of those projects. And then the district will participate in updates to the plan every 5 years in order to maintain that funding eligibility. We have had preliminary discussions with the Tualatin Valley Water District to provide major disaster sheltering for about 150 of their employees. And those are the employees that would be responsible for repairing and restarting our local water systems in the event of a major disaster. And those talks are ongoing. About 18 months ago, THPRD established a partnership and an MOU with PGE to provide a community resource center here on the north lot of the H&T campus. The resource center would provide patrons with drinking water and ice, as well as phone and computer charging, as well as possible vehicle charging stations in the event that they would have to shut the power grid down due to wildfires or another major disaster. And then there are a variety of other major disaster preparations that continue throughout the district as well. During the month of September, I will be leading a discussion and exercise with the management team regarding district-wide continuity of operations. We all know how critical it is from past recent experience to be able to continue operating in the face of a major occurrence or disaster. This will hopefully be the first of many discussions on this aspect of emergency operations. In partnership with the Risk and Management, our Risk and Contract Department, we recently conducted a post-earthquake building assessment exercise. And moving forward, we hope to have our trades team trained on that topic as well. Plans are currently being executed to ensure that our cell phone network has some built-in resiliency and that we have limited emergency radio capabilities as well. The Red Cross has committed to stationing their only shelter equipment trailer for the entire county at a secure location on THPRD property, and that MOU is currently being developed too. So I hope that quick overview has given you a little better understanding of our involvement in emergency management initiatives, as well as kind of a sense of where the district is with disaster preparations. And of course, you probably know by now, I can't come and talk to y'all without a brief mention of a couple of new ambassadorship initiatives that have been undertaken by the Safety Services Department. So I'm going to spend just a minute with those. Oh, sorry. As you know, the rebrand of Park Patrol to Safety Services began in 2021. And as that project draws to a close, we're about to cross the finish line, the department will be replacing the current uniform patch with this new Safety Services logo. The new logo was designed in collaboration with the communications department, and this is the final step in a uniform redesign that actually began about 3 years ago that clearly identifies Safety Services as THPRD security. And it also places the district in full compliance with recently released state requirements for private security provider uniforms. Now, we are certainly aware that there is some sensitivity to the terminology security by some folks in the community, but the state of Oregon mandates that our uniforms include that terminology. With that said, we are certainly loving the fact that the rebrand of the department is coming together and fitting together so nicely with our ambassadorship approach to the way that we do business every day. And then the other is the Latino Network, who is new to Washington County, and THPRD is one of their first county partnerships. For those of you not familiar with Latino Network, their mission is to promote early literacy, encourage parental involvement, work with youth and families where they have a member who's been adjudicated by the courts, and to provide academic support and activities to high school aged youth. So in our preliminary discussions with them several weeks back, we had discussed mentorship and youth involvement as volunteers as two potential avenues for THPRD engagement. And we have further partnership discussions scheduled with them in the next couple of weeks. And as part of that, I just want to call out Lulu, who has been our communications department partner on this initiative from the beginning, and we could not have established this relationship without her hard work and dedication to the cause. And then lastly, I just want to mention safety services staffing levels and our appreciation for your ongoing commitment to ensuring a safe environment for our patrons and our staff. I know that you have heard from Doug that due to some salary savings in the communications department, we've been able to add 2 additional part-time positions to the department for the remainder of FY23. Those 2 positions will permit safety services to field 2 staff per shift, 7 days a week. And so we will be coming back to you in the next budget cycle to ask that those 2 positions be permanently funded. And we believe that these positions are critical for a couple of reasons. Although we maintain very strong relationships with our law enforcement partners, as evidenced by today's activities, the reality is that we are not always a priority call for law enforcement. We are also called upon more and more to handle patron concerns without the assistance of those law enforcement partners, because their resources continue to be stretched. So the ability to field 2 employees every single shift will not only enhance the safety of staff, but will also enhance the safety services that our patrons receive day in and day out. And so with that, I am certainly happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you, Mark, so much.
I'll stop sharing that.
So informative, and I just get really excited about how proactive and thoughtful and intentional these partnerships and these opportunities that, I mean, in reality, we hope we never have to utilize, right? But I appreciate all the time that goes into getting ready for them. Go ahead, Heidi.
Yeah, and thank you, Mark, and your team for what you do. I've had the opportunity to see you at a couple of events and your team at events this summer, and it's nice and reassuring to know that we have security to, and you're always pleasant handing out stickers and doing all that kind of thing. I do want to also reflect on what you said about this cozy Beaverton. Like I was just saying how love my neighborhood, quiet, peaceful. We had an episode this week of active shooter, and we were forced to stay in our homes for a while, and it was a really scary situation. So I'm happy to hear that we are taking this seriously, that we know that we're not immune to the crime, the issues that may be faced, elsewhere around in our surrounding communities. So thank you, because I also know that puts you at risk. It puts our staff at risk for, those who are responding. And just kudos to you and your team, and a lot of respect, because it's a big job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And one of the things, if I can just comment on that precipitated the questions about our staffing levels, or that we have had a couple of recent incidents where Our staff has been threatened and in a couple of cases physically engaged without the ability to get assistance there in a timely manner. So that was one of the things that drove, the renewed conversations about our staffing levels. So thank you for that.
Tia?
Hi, Mark. Yeah, so in relation to that comment or whatever, I was just wondering what
Tia, it's kind of hard to hear you.
my mic is up here on my head, not on my mouth. I was just wanting to know because I'm totally for the safety of our service staff and stuff, and I really appreciate that we're gonna have two so that they feel safe and are able to do stuff. But like you said, like sometimes law enforcement is not available, so that kind of turns our safety services almost to the point of law enforcement. And I was just wondering, what kind of training do they go to essentially kind of take over for this, or do they just once it's like stepped to a certain level they're just known to back off, or do they know a level to back off where they just have to leave to keep themselves safe, right, and to not escalate the situation?
Right, and so they attend state mandated training because unarmed security is regulated by the state of Oregon.
Gotcha.
And so as part of that training, and our philosophy here has always been, if things that become contentious or threatening, we are to retreat and report. And so that's what we do, because they are at the end of the day unarmed security. And they have no more authority to make an arrest, for example, than a regular any citizen or any member, any patron or any member of the public would have, right? So they have the same authority that all patrons have in terms of what's called by state law citizen's arrest.
Gotcha.
We are definitely a move to a safe area and report type of operation.
Perfect. Good to know. I'm glad they're going to stay safe. And I was wondering about the Tualatin Valley Water District employee sheltering thing. Can you clarify more? Because I'm assuming if like there's some kind of huge disaster, that means the Red Cross would come in also. So then are we dedicating space just for the employees and their families versus like the public or whoever needs that help? Because everybody will be experiencing the same kind of disaster, right?
Right. And to not get too deeply into it and take too much time, but we have, according to the Red Cross's assessment as of 2 weeks ago, we have about 1,000 bed sheltering capacity at THPRD, not including the space that the water district may want. So it may or may not be a Red Cross shelter. It could be a Washington County or City of Beaverton run shelter. We fully expect that there would be people in a major event. There could be people at our park spaces in their camping gear or in soft-sided shelters that are erected. So a number of different things there, but we basically part of that answer, I feel like we wouldn't be displacing any members of the public in terms of where they may be able to shelter. But at the same time, we feel like we want to at least discuss partnering with them, because they are the people that are going to restore an essential element of our community for community survival. So we certainly want to investigate partnering with them at least.
Yeah, perfect. And is PGE not requesting the same kind of stuff? I mean, I would assume like electricity and water go kind of hand in.
Yeah, no, PGE actually has a much larger emergency operations operation, and so they have contracts in place. They have a new emergency operations center out in Wilsonville that
Gotcha.
that they would be using for all their employees, and so yeah, I feel like they're pretty set up to function on their own.
Thank you.
It's nice to know we're going to take care of our water folks and anyone else that we can. Thank you, Mark. Quick question, and this might require some follow-up, and I know we're tight on time. But I'm curious, what are like the skill sets you look for in those staffing positions and those ambassador positions? Skills, qualities. What do you look for?
Well, I mean, certainly, and we test for this in the preliminary process. We test their communication skills, both written and verbal. Look for things like, you know, our demographic really is that 18 to 21 age frame. So we're looking for people that maybe are a little more mature beyond their years. We are looking for folks who are capable of and have a little bit of history of making good decisions under stress or pressure. And I mean, so those are kind of the basics, but I mean, for me, it's more and more become, if you possess the level of communication skills that we're looking for, those other things will naturally come along because you'll naturally make good decisions if you're a better communicator, for example.
Would you say the demographics about age is partial to the fact that this is a physically demanding job? Would you say it's the pay, the education requirements?
I would say it's probably all of that, but the rest of our demographic is usually people who are interested in some sort of policing career. Many of them come from, for example, cadet or explorer programs with agencies. And, you know, many of them are students in college, getting their way through college. And these are all part-time positions. So we kind of factor all those things in when it comes to making the hires. And at the end of the day, you know, that's who seems to be interested in these types of jobs because it is a security job, right? So, and one of the things we consistently hear from people that hire them is they possess great communication skills. So whatever you're doing to develop those skills, keep doing it.
I appreciate that information, and I might do some brainstorming, Mark, and get back to you.
I wish you would. We're always open to new and different things.
Don't say that. Doug's going to tell you not to say that. Any other questions from my peers? No, with that, we will close work session. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Tia, great pickleball stories.
Thank you.